Hi, thanks for joining me. I'm Leslie Burby, Editor-in-Chief of Autism Parenting Magazine, and today I'm here with Dr. Maria Wynne of Wynne Solutions, and today we're going to talk about telehealth. Thank you for joining me today, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
So can you tell us about what telehealth is and what you do at Wynne Solutions?
Sure. So telehealth is a method where we use therapy at some distance from the body. We at Wynne Solutions use different technological tools to be able to communicate with families, use video, Skype, any kind of method where we can get information on a day-to-day basis, sometimes real time. And so it's all going through the internet essentially. And also we use a lot of text messages and videos that are sent from parents to collect data. And we do primarily parent education at Wynne Solutions.
Okay, so you're teaching the parents to help their own children?
Correct, yes. And I have a series of assignments that I give parents. I use a discrete video modeling tool that's created by a company called Gemini Systems, and they have created a library of over 12,000 videos that can model these skills. And so I can make these individualized assignments for these families and just say, watch this half hour a day. And it kind of takes place with those discrete trial segments, those flashcards. And we're seeing kids gain skills really quickly with this method as well.
That's great. So can you tell us what's one of the major issues that you see with autistic children and how do you help them overcome that? Can you give us an example?
Well, I see a variety of issues because I work with all ages. But I'd have to say that the biggest issue that I contend with is probably where parents just cannot get their kids to communicate effectively. Lack of language development is a really big issue with these kids. And I also see it with adults as well. And so I come in and I really get a solid assessment of how are they communicating. And then I help the parents really understand the method that's going to work for their child and getting them to communicate effectively, whether that is vocal verbal skills or using sign. I also have Lisa Milady is my director of speech services at Wynne Solutions, and I collaborate with her on every case. So I always have that collaboration with a speech pathologist. And so I work a lot with language and communication.
And what kinds of communication have you tried?
Well, I really focus on the vocal verbal. I work with a lot of kids that have apraxia, and we're seeing with using video modeling, specifically discrete video modeling, that something's happening when these kids are watching, focusing in on the mouth, so it actually models what the word is supposed to look like. So replacing those like a fancy video flashcard system. And so really getting the kids to start to vocally verbalize these words. And so basically I'm working on the vocal verbal skills. But really it's replacing any of those other, like a hand leading behavior. I have a lot of kids that use hand leading. It might even be teenagers still getting their needs met by taking their parents' hands because they're not even pointing to what they want in the cabinet. But having them vocally verbalize something or showing a picture is obviously going to be less dependency on the parent and getting the individual to be more independent.
That's great. And so I guess my one question about telehealth is, is it kind of like an online classroom where instead of parents and children coming to your office, they can just see you through the computer is what I'm understanding, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the beauty about telehealth is it totally cuts out the amount of driving that we have to do and travel, but also what I'm seeing is that I can gather data better than I was before when I was going to the home. Now, I should also say this is not replacing in person. I still go see the client. For my clients in Ireland or, who are overseas, I can't do that. So I actually have never met those clients, but I meet and spend time with about 95% of my clients because I make that a priority to be able to get that FaceTime. But I will see that the individuals respond a lot quicker to me over this 2D versus being there in person. Now, that shows me that they need to generalize those skills. When they have that human face, they have to be able to interact. So we work on that skill building with the parents. The parents really know how to do that pivotal response treatment and that generalization programming with the child. Again, integrating as much into that natural routine for the individual. But the telehealth method, it really it saves a lot of time. Before I used to have to travel. I used to work for a non-public agency in California for 7 years and got great training. I still consult with them and still conduct some research with them. I had to travel a lot. I mean, I was in Los Angeles. I was in the car like 4 hours a day, and I was still on the phone, so I was able to do some supervision and management over the phone. But using telehealth and using this video is so effective. I can see 6 clients back to back throughout the day from all different locations, and I'm getting data every single day versus having to kind of wait for an email. If we have those chats set up, I get data quicker, and you can see progress a lot faster.
That's fantastic. Honestly, I wish I had known about telehealth sooner because when my children were young, trying to arrange all the therapists and the driving and and then if there was a snowstorm then the child didn't get therapy that day. And with my daughter, it wasn't just ABA, it was also physical therapy. So because she needed to gain muscle strength to chew food and to walk and to everything. So I wish I had learned about telehealth sooner. So when I heard about telehealth, I said, I have to learn about this. So I think it's fantastic. And I think I've seen firsthand, when I have majority of my meetings and interviews are done at home because I have 3 small children. So when I have meetings, sometimes they're informal and my children will walk right in and join the conversation. And it's funny because they're very excited, and I think they think it's cool even to talk to someone through the computer, and they have no problem having a conversation with somebody on the computer. But if I bring them to my house, they want nothing to do.
Right. Which is, there you see, but there's a gap there with the social skill, but we can train to that specifically, right? That's the hardest part. That's where you got to be really creative as a therapist. So it gets me as a behavior analyst and a therapist to do what I do well and not kind of waste time on the rote stuff where you can really do that through technology. But the parent education piece is so important, just talking face to face, and then the child coming in and also hearing my voice and all of that is one thing. And then when I come into the home, I model those skills that I want the parents to be able to do. So they're not looking at me in the face. So getting down on their level and getting their attention and getting them to repeat the words that I'm saying live in person, that is really, really important. And also sometimes if the child has some more needs, I do recommend that a behavior agency locally comes into the home and works with the child on a daily basis and also providing that parent education. But that collaboration is happening with me as well. So I'm talking to the behavior agency, I'm talking to the speech pathologist, and Lisa on my team is also working with the speech pathologist, the OT, the PT, even the medical doctor. We all have a collaboration, but the parent is the one who is the number one advocate. They're the one that is gaining the skills to be able to advocate for their child throughout life. So I want the parent to be able to advocate, or any caregiver, effectively, and in a way where we're working with the team members, not coming in trying to fight with anybody because we want to get something, but that we're understanding what everybody's perspective is. If somebody's sharing a perspective that just doesn't jive with the group, they'll eventually not be part of the group, right? So
Right.
we shape that collaboration in that team, and you have the strongest team, and you're going by, you're getting all the experts in their areas. When I came in as a behavior analyst on these collaborative teams, I listened to that speech pathologist because I'm not a speech pathologist. I'm not an OT. And I sit down and I'm gaining all of this knowledge from all of these different experts. And the parent is the one that has to really become an expert. I mean, the parent becomes like a supervisor. You know, you start to know ABA better than anybody else for your child. Same with the OT and SLP practices. Very, very important that the parent has the skills to be able to advocate, because the parent is going to have to teach their child how to advocate for themselves when they get older. And that's another thing I did, work directly with the client to make sure that they know what to ask for when they're going into college, and that they know how to react if some social situation, you know, if they're bullied in some way or something, how do you react to that? That they're able to advocate for themselves. And so having these conversations ongoing, and the more FaceTime you can get as a chat, there's no other way to do it if they're living in Eastern Oregon or in Ireland or in Los Angeles. So I can serve all of these clients. And really how I started my telehealth services was because I moved from LA to Portland, Oregon, to be closer to my fiance. I'm getting married in a couple of weeks.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. So this was almost a year ago, and I wanted to be able to maintain my clients, but here I am in Portland, Oregon, so I used the phone and started using Skype. And then it just kind of, you know, took off from there, because I'm saying, oh my gosh, I'm getting these great outcomes just by sitting in my kitchen, you know, just by sitting in my home. And I'm so excited about the discrete video modeling because I've been conducting research on it, and I've seen kids that they speak sometimes immediately. I'm starting to hear kids say words that parents have not heard them. They're in their teens, and they're starting to say words, and it's just unbelievable to see the gains. But the parents are absolutely committed to the program, because I make sure they know up front that they have to put in those hours every day working with their child. And if I have that commitment and they understand that that's what they need to do, we have the best gains that way.
And it's true. I mean, being a parent and coming from an education background, but ultimately, the parent is the one that is with the child 24/7, or at least the majority of the time. Mm-hmm. And you need to know everything, because you have to be their number one advocate, and you have to teach them when the therapist goes home or when they're home from school, you know, so you do need to continue to incorporate all those skills. It's not, especially because I think generalization is such an issue. When kids will learn, they'll go to a social skills class and they'll learn this skill, and then they come home and mom and dad take them to the park, and they can't carry that skill over into another atmosphere. So it's important that the parent knows how to, get them to use that skill in another situation, right?
Correct, yes, and repetitively and consistently. The more times they're going to be using the skill, that pathway is going to fire, and they're going to have that skill. You know, practice, practice, practice is key. And the same skills across settings and across people. Very, very important to get that right away. That's what I love about discrete video modeling, because you can do all the front loading through this computer program, and then you're just programming those core words. And then you start to see the kids use these words across settings. And that you really see the best gains when the parent knows exactly what to do, and that they are consistently implementing the strategies.
Great. So I guess my last question to you is, and I ask this to everybody, what is the number one thing that you wish you could tell parents?
Number one thing, I'd say the more you do at home as a parent for your child, the more you integrate the strategies within the natural routines, the better your kids will gain those skills, the more your kids will gain those skills, and you as a parent as well. The more you do, the more you put within the natural routines across every single person, every single environment that the child is in, the better your outcomes are going to be, hands down.
All right. Well, I thank you so much for joining me today and explaining telehealth and what you do at Wynne Solutions. I wish you all the luck and congratulations on your marriage.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day. I'm Leslie Burby, Editor-in-Chief of Autism Parenting Magazine, and if you'd like to get a free copy of Autism Parenting Magazine, please go to www.autismparentingmagazine.com.